So there's some people in your life that you noticed started acting different, shifty, shifty. They started acting different. And the main reason is because they see that you've changed. And them looking at you changing, it illuminates the fact that they have stayed the same. And they don't like it. They don't like that. You see. Hey, I'm Mystic Alchemy. Thank you for being here. All right. So, but that has nothing to do with you, really. You know, it's just to identify when you feel funny around someone that you used to feel comfortable with. And that's just your intuition and your spirit family telling you, hey, look at that. Did you just see that? Did you notice what you felt and why you felt that way? Yeah, you felt that way because they shifty. Why are they shifty? Because they don't like the change in you. That's why they look funny when you tell them something good about what's going on in your life. And I'm picking up this energy from you where you're not, when you share things about yourself and your life and your accomplishments or just you in general, whatever it is that you feel you want to share, if it has anything to do with you improving and scaling up from where you used to be, spiritually, physically, mentally, in any way, and you notice that the person, their energy shifts, like they feel uncomfortable or they need to change the subject or they need to just go away and they can't really dive into that topic with you, that is a key to show you that they're not interested in your growth and they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to know about it. And if you pay attention, instead of saying, oh no, that was nothing, you'll realize and you'll be able to easily recognize when people that you once trusted in your circle and individuals that you used to feel comfortable around, you don't feel the same anymore because you notice the signs, you see them. They can't be hidden because you see them, they're right in your face. And I'm picking up this energy where many will try to hide their true feelings about you for a little while, but their feelings are so deep within their distaste that they have towards the growth within you, that eventually that demon will show. That demon inside of them that is trying to destroy them from the inside out, it will show and you will see it, and it will basically let you know where you have to place that person in your life. And it's an unfortunate experience, to say the least. I feel as though it's unfortunate because when you grow, you want those who you rocked with as a youngin' to come with you, or as a jit, as some say from certain parts of the world. You know, you want people to come with you. Like, yeah, come on, let's do this thing. But then you notice that you can't do that with everyone. And then you have to find a way to accept that. You have to find a way to accept it. And I think the easiest way to accept it is when you recognize how having that person around can affect your goals and your purpose and the plan that God has in your life. You know, and these are individuals where if they say they're happy for you, I feel like you can feel if it's genuine. Because if they say they're happy for you and then kind of like start talking about themselves, or because it's one thing to share and bounce information off of one another, but if you're, it's like I just feel like we have to learn to, when someone that you care about is expressing themselves to you, it's good to give them the floor for a minute, especially if they're bringing something up, because a lot of times people don't even feel comfortable talking about themselves and what's going on because they don't want to look they don't want to seem like they're coming from an egoic place. So many people have that moral compass inside of them where they're not going to tell everyone their deepest, darkest troubles or secrets, because they're not going to trust everybody. So when you have somebody in your life that trusts you enough to tell you about whatever's going on, because sometimes it's not good things that they might want to tell you, it might be something that was really harmful to their emotional state or to their mind, you know. It could be anything. I just happen to use a win in the beginning, but it could be anything. And you might be the only person that they feel comfortable to speak to. They might not share that with you. They might not say that part. Sometimes people will say that part. Like, I feel comfortable speaking to you. Like, can you give me some time to listen to me? Like, you know, if someone came to you, would you have that ear open for them? And it's like, would you be able to just listen to them without taking over the conversation and putting yourself in it? Now, it's one thing to express to someone if you have also experienced something similar, so that they can recognize that you do see what you're understanding. But as soon as you give that example, you can continue to listen, because, you know, a conversation, it goes both ways. But sometimes it's good to just, especially when you're able to analyze someone and how they're truly feeling, because sometimes people just need to get it out. Sometimes people just need to speak and talk it out. And I'm feeling as though many of you were good listeners for someone, or for many. You were really good listeners. And even if you had something to say, the more the person spoke, the more you recognize how much they needed to vent and how much they needed to get whatever it is off of their spirit. Like, they needed to uplift it off of their spirit, because they were carrying the burden of that weight from whatever was bothering them. And I feel as though many of you were there in that way for others. But when you start to speak, others don't know how to do that for you. Then they begin to look at you as a soundboard. But then you notice that when you have something to say, the dynamics shift. They're not the same. And so many of you might be used to this, to the point where it's like, I heard maybe it's just my code. Maybe it's just my code. You know how we're all here for a certain purpose, and we're all different. We all have a different calling. We're all aligned in the constellations differently, depending on what season we were born in and our birthday, you know, the time of day we were born. We all align differently, and dependent on the universe, it creates individuals to be a certain way. We come here aligned a certain way just because of when we were born, when we were brought here. And I find that very fascinating. It really is. When you really like dig deep and look into your birth chart and see how accurate it is. Because when I look at my birth chart, it's like, wow, like they being real nosy right now. Like, how do you even know that? And this was probably written before I got here, right? Like, how do you even know that? And I just find that very interesting. Side note, I don't want to get off topic too much, but I always see my birthday on the clock. Not anywhere else. It's always the time. I keep seeing my birthday. I keep seeing 824. I keep seeing my birthday in the morning and at night. Does anybody else always see their birthday? Because I always see my birthday. So I had looked up what it means spiritually to keep seeing your birthday on the clock. And I was about to look it up again, and I remember what it said. But I want you guys to look it up. And, you know, if you have the time, look it up and see what it says. And if you're someone who sees your birthday often, you know, feel free to share your experience, because I think that's cool. Because I like this morning, I was doing my daily thing that I do, and I opened up my laptop and it said 8:24, and I'm like, wow. It's like it happens to me all the time, and I just find that interesting, right? I find it very interesting how the spirit realm communicates with us through numbers. Now, sometimes it could be just coincidental, but when you see that it happens consistently for months, it has happened the entire year for me. And it used to be other numbers in my past. And I'm actually going to mention one of the numbers in the book that I'm writing, and that's coming soon. I'm almost done. But there was a number, I'm not going to tell you what it is now because you'll see that in the book. But there was a number that was following me. I felt like it was like a ghost from the past. I'm like, what? And it's a number that might make someone concerned. And it actually made me concerned for a little while too, because why do I keep seeing this number? However, back to the birthday number. Do you see your birthday just in random spaces or on a time often? Because I find that very interesting, and it just started this year. It never happened before. It just started this year. So this year is a special year for me. That's how I feel. But look up, okay, what I want you guys to do, if you want to participate, look up what is the spiritual meaning of consistently seeing your birthday. And I know that there's many different aspects of the possibilities of the meaning, but I'm just interested to see how many different things you guys find, okay? And also look at it for yourself if you do see your birthday, because it's just very interesting. It's interesting to me. Maybe it is to you too. So anyway, so you were there for a lot of people. A lot of these people that you felt like you can confide in and that you could speak to freely. And I'm hearing the main reason is because you were so open to their concerns and to their moments of needing to release and vent. You had figured, I could trust this person and talk to them, and they'll give me the same love that I gave them. And then you realize, no, it's not the same. It's not the same. And there's something my best friend told me one day, and we were talking in one of our deep conversations that we have, and I was telling her something. I don't remember what, because we talk about 1,000 things all the time, but I was telling her something, and she said something that was very profound. She had said, how you treat others, you can't really expect them to treat you the same. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And that right there was kind of like a trigger to me to change my perspective, because in my earlier years I had a very innocent way of looking at people, because I always, and I still do look at the best in people, but once you show me otherwise, the cutoff game is strong. Okay? So I had to learn that, though. That's not something that I always had. I didn't have that. I always wanted to give people chances, and I always wanted people to be respected, especially from me. Like, I expect respect, so I give it. And not everybody knows how to do that. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody sees it as beneficial in any way. And I always did, and me being that way had me in a lot of crazy situations where I chose to be quiet when I should have spoken, but now I can gauge better when it's best to be silent and when to speak. Because I always tell you guys, every battle, I just heard every battle doesn't have to be a fight. But that's not really what I wanted to say. It's something else I wanted to say. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Every battle is not yours. You know, because a lot of times people want to start something with you. They want to start friction and confrontation because they are battling something, and they want to give you that energy so they don't have to suffer within that space alone. And that's basically projection. You know, people trying to draw you into their discontent and sadness because they don't want to deal with it alone, so they'll feel a sense of like a energy surge if they can cling on to your energy and drain from you by making you feel how they feel. And then in exchange, seeing you sad will make them feel happy. And it's a real sadistic type of dynamic, but it is what it is. And that's what happens to the best of us. You know, it happens. And it's up to us to be able to identify when we see those projections, because that is not a fight worth fighting, because it's not even your fight, and it's a waste of energy. Depending on the person, you could check them real quick with a couple of words, but it doesn't make sense for you to put so much effort and energy in something that is not even worth your time. You know what I mean? So that's something that comes with time, and that's something that comes with learning good judgment, I guess. If I could say anything, learning good judgment. And then also just recognizing when someone is hurting, when somebody's just in pain. Because many times when people are in like emotional pain, they can't filter their feelings. So that often makes a person angry. If a person cannot filter how they feel and they don't understand how they're feeling, they just lash out. And you know how they say children who don't get enough attention, they lash out and they just act crazy. They just be bugging out. And I've seen that in many instances that is true. You know, they'll start behaving a certain way for the attention, to be seen. And they feel more comfortable just taking an action that could be dangerous or harmful to themselves in some way, so that they can get the attention that they're looking for from their loved one or from anyone that will give them any attention, really. So many times, and that's not just for children. See, that's the thing. This is a way that can actually trickle up into adulthood. And we have to be able to see that. And we have to be able to identify when someone needs to work on themselves. Because when you know that, and when you feel that, and when Spirit tells you that that person is broken and that's why they're coming at you like that, it gives you a different set of eyes. It's like you begin to use your spiritual eye, and you can see through a person, knowing what the problem is with them and how to handle it. Because if you know someone's broken, what is the point of trying to break them down some more? It's kind of like sometimes you don't have to say anything at all and they'll get it. Or sometimes you could just, it depends on the person though. It depends on a lot of different things. But again, that's something that you begin to get better at over time. And I'm sure some of you do this already. You're able to see into someone's soul. Basically, you can see what's wrong. You can see what they're fighting with. You can see it, and it's clear. So this way of being that you have adopted, it's a gift. And it's a gift even to those who don't like that you have it. Because usually many that are like close to you that you've known from a child, they're not going to necessarily like that you have it because they never saw it in you before. So they're not going to take well to it, or maybe they did see it but they just didn't want to tell you, or there's a lot of different aspects to it. But then there's also a respect thing, because for some reason when someone, I mean, it's not really for some reason, it's like, okay, when someone sees you when you were in your phase of trying to figure things out, and they may have seen you under the influence before, or out of character to where you allowed emotions to control the narrative of situations to the point of no return, then they'll continue to look at you in that way, and they don't want to see the growth because it will show the truth about you, that you've actually learned from the mistakes that you've made or from the experiences that you had. And they could have the same types of experiences, right? Because you were together with them. So it would make sense for some experiences to be shared. It's just that you have chosen to change your ways and they have chosen to stay the same. And that was their choice, you know? So it's really nothing for you to worry much about. It's just an illumination of a fact. It's really a fact of the matter. And you knowing that those who you thought were going to be down with you and rock with you for the rest of your days, you know that's not really all the way true, you know? And if it's family, they'll be around because that's your family, but you know that there's a certain distance that you have to have because they don't understand you. So they'll always try to target you in many different ways because they're looking to move you in a way where you may have been moved in the past. They're looking for that person and trying to draw that person out of you to prove to themselves that you are the same and you haven't changed and you are just like them. It's like they want to disprove your growth. And that's really sad because you love these people. Like, you have love for them, regardless of how annoying they may be, regardless of how rude they can come off or be. Really, not really come off, but it is what it is, right? You still know that you can't let them in too close anymore because they proved themselves. They proved their position with you. So once someone proves your position, do not try to make a space for them in a place that can harm you, because then it's on you at that point. If you know someone is not for you and you know someone has a distaste for your growth and they show you over and over again when they think they're not, and they try their best not to show you, but they can't help it because their feeling is so strong within them that they can't help themselves. They just can't. They always show you their cards. They show you. You'll see it, especially if you're empathic or if you just pay attention. Because if you just pay attention, you'll see a lot. You don't even really need to be that empathic. It's just really being aware. Okay? Continue to grow. Regardless of what anybody else has to say, it does not matter. It does not matter. Okay? Continue to grow. Continue to be as beautiful as you are. And be yourself. Regardless of what anybody has to say about your growth. Don't feel pressured to revert back to how you may have been prior to, because you know that you've changed. You know that you see your growth and you feel it. But just also be able to identify when someone does not want to acknowledge your growth, or when you see that someone is trying to pull you back into old ways, old habits, you know, because that's not a friend. That's not a friend. That's not a family member that actually loves you, because, you know, we can have family, but sometimes family can feel like enemies because of how they come across, how they behave themselves towards you. So let it be what it is. Let the chips fall where they may, but pay attention to how those chips fall. Pay attention to how those chips fall, okay? Because if you don't, it's on you. Or if you try to ignore it, it's on you. Don't let it fall on you. Sometimes we just have to step back and let things be as they are. Once you recognize and take in the fact that I can only change me, I can only work on me, and I can do my best to guide others from what I've learned. But if a person chooses to be a certain way, to each his own. Okay, my loves? everything you do, do it with love. Always remember the creator is in you and the magic is too, because you are magic. Much love to you. I'll see you in the next video.